Hello and welcome back to Calradia Expanded at War, and we're now at Diathma. As I mentioned in the previous episode, we're going to try and eliminate the Botanians here. Well, at the very least, we're going to try our best to do that. Unfortunately, there is an army running around, I think, with around 950 combat strength. Obviously, this is not that dangerous. But just imagine for 1 second that we take a lot of casualties in this particular siege, and then that army comes out of nowhere and tries to defeat us. That is gonna be a bit of a problem. Anyway, I have come up with something. This is on a completely different topic, by the way, but I have come up with something as an idea for the next series, because I'm thinking we're probably pretty powerful right now, and generally that's usually when I will decide to end a series, because you know how each battle is going to go, you know how each siege is going to go if we are just completely obliterating the opponent every single time. Obviously not every single time recently. We seem to be a bit on the run from the Aserai, so I'm not entirely sure what we can do with them, but generally I think that as long as we're not engaging an army that has over 2,000 combat strength, I think we'll probably do okay, you know? It's just a case of having a bit of common sense and acting with a bit of logic behind all of our situations and circumstances that we may find ourselves in, and then, you know, making the best of, you know, whatever situation that is. Now, obviously, that very much depends on what the Aserai decide to do, because as it stands right now, they probably don't really pose that much of a threat. That obviously also depends on the trades that they decide to make as well, because, let's face it, if they decide to make some good trades with us, so for example, if we actually get them to agree to a couple of trades, where they're giving me a bunch of towns, or even just a castle and a town or something like that, that is already going to hit them in their combat strength. Because it's not just armies, you see. It's not just armies that indicate combat strength. It's actually everything. It is garrisons, it's castles, it's everything, basically, that tells you, oh yeah, these guys are pretty strong. But that's the thing. I've had cases where in the past I have if you go into the description, if you know about all of the playlists that are there, then good for you. But if you don't, there's a whole bunch of playlists. There's a playlist called Pelisor Trader Playlist or something along those lines. And basically that's all to do with a trading character. And in the first, you know, couple of episodes and everything, yeah, it's basically just trading, it's economic, and it's very much a manipulation of the various wars that are going on, and basically trying to sell grain and various other relatively cheap foodstuffs to towns that have just been at war, because that is the most profitable thing to do. Early game, that is. Very much in the early game, that is great. Absolutely fantastic strategy to have. But later down the line, when I am more able to, in that series at least, later down the line when I have access to everything has a price, I basically have no one on my side. It is just me running around with a couple of my companions as party members or party leaders, shall we say. And that's pretty much it. So, yeah, and we had over 30,000 combat strength, and we had no armies on the field whatsoever. So, yeah, garrisons really make a huge difference, especially if you are, you know, buying and trading and doing all that wonderful stuff with full garrisons. I'm talking about actual garrisons like Diathma, for example, where we are at the moment. They had 800 plus units in here. And you can imagine, what if I went to the vassal and he actually had good relations with us? I might actually be able to buy it from him, or I would have been able to buy it from him if we weren't at war against each other, because I think they actually changed that as well, by the way, because a long time ago in a previous version, I think you were able to enter a barter situation with someone that you were at war against. I'm not entirely sure if that is actually the case, but I seem to remember that you were capable of basically doing a lot more. You had a lot more freedom in regards to who you could trade with, who you could speak with, and who you could attempt to persuade as well. But they've obviously seen fit to try to balance these various mechanics because, I mean, yeah, okay, I wholeheartedly understand in a sort of realistic sense that you're not really going to be able to go up to someone in an army, let's say that they are in an enemy army, and you speak to them and you say, hey, do you want to join my faction? You know, and you're literally going up to them in front of their friends, you know, in front of their colleagues and various other, maybe even their liege, and you're saying whether you'd like them to join your faction or not. So yes, realistically, obviously, that doesn't really make that much sense, so I can see why they would change that. However, I think it needs a little bit of subtlety added to it. For example, what if you send a messenger to that person? It's more than likely that the other people in the camp, or with them, accompanying them in their army, are not going to read their correspondence. Because let's face it, I mean, that doesn't happen, right? I mean, surely. Unless there's a little bit of, you know, a little bit of backstabbery going on. You know, I can definitely see some of the Vlandian vassals doing that kind of thing, because they generally have a rather tumultuous relationship most of the time between each other. But all I'm saying is, I can definitely see why they changed that mechanic, and that's the reason also why barter is also, I suppose, not available now either. So they're making it a little bit more difficult for everything has a price to have such a profound effect on the game as a whole. But back then, in the Pelisor series, obviously that was not the case. I had, well, I don't want to say free reign, but I did have very, very large amounts of control in regards to what I was able to do. And personally, I think that's, I find that super fun, but I can see why it was really, really powerful. I mean, it was really, really powerful, because I remember with Pelisor, he had, I don't know, he had much less trade skill than I have right now, I believe. Actually, do I even have trade skill with this character? Yes, I do. I have 373, yeah. So he had a lot less than this. He had about, I don't know, 310 or 315 or something like that. But that didn't really stop him from literally just buying every single piece of real estate in the area. Oh yeah, he really went crazy with that. It was absolutely an amazing sight to see, to be honest. Anyway, I'm actually going to increase my intelligence and my steward skill here. I'd like my steward skill to increase a little bit more. But yeah, as I say, he would basically purchase the entire catalog of towns and castles from basically anyone that he could get his hands on. Anyone that would answer a message from him, and bear in mind that he's friendly. He's on friendly terms with all of these guys. And then you literally speak to them, and they're like, "Ah, welcome, friend. Ah, it's so good to see you." And then all of a sudden, you just go, "I'll give you 50 gold. I'll give you 50 gold for all your towns." And they're like, "Ah, yes, we will do that. Absolutely. We're 100% likely to do that." I mean, realistically, obviously not. But in the case of Pelisor, he was a very friendly individual and very honorable, and he had no permanent marks on his record, so to speak, and as a result, he was trusted by a lot of people, and as a result, he would get very good prices. Obviously, the prices have been modified a little bit since then as well. You got to bear that in mind, but the point stands that I was literally able to gain. That's actually my fastest. I think my fastest conquering of the entirety of Calradia in Bannerlord that I've ever had. Because I was literally able to pretty much just capture every single fief. And I'm not even talking about capture here. I'm just literally saying about taking ownership of it. That was it. Just taking ownership of it. Oh, and it seems the Northern Empire have declared war against us. Well, that's not very nice of them, is it? Okay, well, let me see. Can I do something about that? Actually, you know what? I'm actually going to try and speak to the leader of, well, the owner, shall we say, of Varcheg. And we'll see how that goes. But yes, I just want to finish speaking about Pelisor because he's one of my favorite characters ever in Bannerlord. I think that his his presence in the previous series to the trader one. I can't remember which one that is now, but he was so funny. Basically oh, I cancelled that. Are you serious? I am such an idiot. I didn't realize that there was going to be a messenger there so fast. Anyway, this is just a brief background description on where Pelisor is from. So Pelisor was an NPC that we took into our party to resolve some kind of family dispute or feud between two people, or between two clans. And I basically... Oh, look at this. He's actually wanting to speak to us right here. This is really good. But yes, I basically went to try to complete this. I think it was a family feud quest, actually. And I failed the combat encounter, right? I failed the combat encounter because what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to take Pelisor in, and you're supposed to win the fight, and, you know, then the task is supposed to be complete, and then he's supposed to leave your party. But I failed it, and as a result, he stayed in my party. He literally stayed in my party, and here's the funny thing about it. He actually could not gain experience, so he was literally level 1 for the entirety of the series, as far as I'm aware. I think he did start gaining some experience a little bit later on, when he started to get a little bit more into combat, because it was very difficult to level up at that point, because we didn't have mods like... I didn't have mods installed that would actually increase the experience gain for companions or anything like that. But yeah, anyway, yeah, so he basically was there for the entirety of the series, and he was just a very funny individual to have around, because whenever he would do well in combat and he'd get a couple of kills, I'd be like, oh, look at that, Pelisor's getting a kill, you know? And it was all a very kind of humorous kind of focal point of the series. And so then I decided, okay, I'm going to make a series about Pelisor. And I actually failed with an 82% chance. Are you serious right now? Ah, you imbecile. You imbecile. You're not a Pelisor. No, you're not a Pelisor at all. You are much worse. Okay, well, whatever the case, I failed to persuade that guy. That's kind of annoying. Oh, look at this. I gained the merciful trait. Oh, well, that's interesting. Let me actually just take a quick look at my traits right now. Okay, so I gained the merciful trait. This is super weird because I've executed so many people right now that this is very strange. I don't know why I would have the merciful trait. I mean, I guess it's because I've been releasing so many people, but it makes no sense considering I've literally, well, basically murdered in cold blood a whole bunch of people, and they are apparently now thinking that we are merciful for some reason. Okay, well, you know, that's up to them. That's up to them, I guess. Anyway, Epicrotea is actually under siege at the moment as well, so we're going to have to do something about that. I am actually going to be attacking this guy. He wanted to surrender, but I'm not going to allow that to happen because I'd like to just let him go. Obviously, in this case, it's not even really worth me gaining relation with these minor factions, and personally I would love to be able to execute more of them to eliminate them from the game, but obviously that is not going to happen, as we found out. That is something that is just impossible, apparently. Anyway, we're going to be letting all those guys go as well. Going to be taking all the prisoners. Oh yeah, by the way, a number of you reminded me that I had, in the previous episode at least, around 600 units in my army, and I forgot to sell them. And true, I did forget to sell them, but thankfully, due to your reminders in the comments, I was able to sell them when I loaded up the game just before recording, and I gained, I believe it was 17,000 gold from that, which is pretty good. Not bad, right? Anyway, I'm going to go back to Epicrotea and see what I can do here. If Diathma gets taken, I mean, I'm not entirely sure what I can do right now. I would like, if at all possible, can I get this guy to join me? I'm going to see if I can get this guy to join me, because he has Tekor Castle. We are currently at peace with the Vlandians, so it kind of makes sense for me to do a little bit of bartering here. So let me see if I can gain this. Wow, he's actually happy to give me Tekor Castle for 600,000. I'm actually okay with giving him 600,000 for this, because I just want the territory at this point. I literally just want the territory. So we're going to see who owns Coolstad now. Oh, Dirthart. Oh, he hates us. Yeah, he hates us super badly. Okay, what about Omor? Calatild. She hates us even more. Okay, well, maybe she'll do a good deal with us. I'm not entirely sure. I mean, I'd like to be able to sell Diathma to her, if at all possible. So we're going to see whether we can do that. Because a good trade is one that we are going to benefit from much more than... Wow, yeah, this is actually really good. I'm going to give her Taco Castle as well, because I'd like... Do I want Foreign Castle or Ciorda's Castle? I think Foreign Castle is actually better, so I'd like that. And then we'll give her a little bit of money. We'll give her... I don't really care about money at this point, to be honest. So I'm thinking we'll give her 356,000 for Omor and Foreign Castle. And we are trading Taco Castle and Diathma. Basically, I feel like a better way to go about this would be to not trade Taco Castle. But I really want to get Omor away from the Vlandians. And so we're going to do that. And now we're going to do battle with Melodia's army. This is a lot of action, right? There's so many different things that we have to do right here. Okay, so should I go in for a manual attack or should I go for an auto? I think I'll go for an auto. Yeah, that was a pretty decent ratio right there. Not too bad. And we are going to level up, take the prisoners, and then leave. I just want to get over there as fast as possible. Ah, Fafan is actually taking Epicrotea back. Fantastic. Good work. Good work, Mr. Fafan. Okay, so he's obviously going ahead and taking that. That's wonderful. Alright, okay. Let me actually just take a look at who my friends are. Alright, so I've actually ascertained that this guy, who is generally a bit devious, I don't really want to try and persuade him, but I'm going to try nevertheless because I think he could very well bring over 2 castles from the Aserai to us. And I think that would be fantastic because the Aserai are just about to hit the war exhaustion wall. At least I think we might be able to make a deal with them actually beforehand. So that might work in our favor. We'll see how it goes. Just gonna do a little bit of town improving here and there. And we'll get a little bit more loyalty there. Alright, that's looking pretty nice. And now we're gonna go over. And I would like to take Varchek, if at all possible. Okay, so there, my messenger has arrived. Hello there, sir. Okay, yes, he is very willing to speak to me. I don't like this guy at all, by the way. I feel like he's a very shady individual. I mean, you know, we can talk, right? Oh, look at that, 52%, and we managed to succeed with that conversation option. I can't believe it. All right. Now I'm actually not entirely sure what to give him, to be honest. I mean, generally... we could give him Omor. And I'm going to take both castles. Do I... No, wait a minute. Is that a good idea? You know what? I think that's actually a good idea. Is it? Oh, now I'm in 2 minds about it, to be honest. Actually, wait a minute. Can we give him Foreign Castle? And then we can give him some money? Is he... I would actually prefer to do this than give him Omor, to be honest. So let's do that. Okay, I'm spending money left, right, and center. This is really probably not the best idea, but let's just take a quick look at the Aserai. Okay, so they have... Wow, we have no support for making peace with them whatsoever, which is to be expected, I suppose. We could make peace with Britannia, but I want to let Fafan attempt to take Epicrotea back before we do that. We could make peace with Sturgia as well. We have 100% support with that, but bear in mind that I would very much like to take Varcheg before that happens. So we'll see. What about Palos Castle? Yeah, Fafan, can you please take this? You imbecile! Why is he running away? Why is he running away? I have no idea. Let's tell them to go on the offensive with our war strategy right there. Okay, apparently he is being a bit of an idiot, so I'm going to go over there and see what I can do. Wow, 6,000 for that guy. Okay, making peace with Sturgia. I guess we'll make peace with them. I mean, they're gonna give us some money, so I guess that's okay. I personally don't really want to, but we are going to have an opportunity to either speak to them to barter for Varchek later on, or we are going to generally just have an opportunity to murder them later. Yes, exactly. Speaking of shady individuals, yes, we have a chance to murder them later. Yes, very good. Okay, so let's have a look at the Northern Empire. I'm going to tell our guys to go on offense here, and we have Nywin here as well. Okay, we're going to have to go in for a manual battle. I think that is a bit too close for my liking, a bit too much of a close shave with the combat strength. So here we go. Oh, this is this map. Okay, yeah, this map Wait a minute. This is different. This is different than what I'm used to. Oh, interesting. Usually there isn't. I mean, there is a river usually, but there's not usually 3 different areas. Is that just me? Because as far as I'm aware, you always spawn on one side of the bridge, and then your enemy spawns on the other side, and that doesn't seem to be how it was this time. That's kind of interesting. Okay. Well, I'm happy with that. I don't really mind too much. Okay. Oh, yeah. Actually, you know, I was speaking about all these troops and the various tiers of unit and all that stuff in the previous episode, right? Well, someone actually mentioned something very true. And I wanted to highlight this actually as well, because I didn't give this particular unit any spotlight whatsoever at the time. And I feel like that was a pretty big mistake on my part, because they are amazing. They are very, very good. And I'm talking about Vlandian Banner Knights, because according to your comment, I obviously didn't see their statistics specifically, but you said in the comments that in that episode the Banner Knights were able to kill 63 or somewhere around that units just with 2 of them. Apparently, just with 2 of them, or somewhere around that number. And I you know, I don't know. I didn't know that they were going to be that powerful. I mean, how many do I have right now? I have 12. I have 12 on the battlefield right now, but I have many less sharpshooters. But that actually speaks volumes to how powerful cavalry can be sometimes. Because if you think about how many kills the sharpshooters got, they got 500 kills or something like that in that fight. And the Banner Knights literally got 60 with just 2 of them. I mean, that's insane. You know, that ratio is crazy. So that's definitely something to bear in mind as well. But of course, the Banner Knights are noble units, so it is, I guess, maybe somewhat to be expected that they're going to do very well, because they do have much better stats than the sharpshooters do. I suppose if the sharpshooters were kind of on the same level as Batanian Fian champions, then we would definitely be seeing some crazy numbers, if I had that many, that is. Because obviously having noble units is a little bit more difficult, but maybe not impossible. If I put the effort in and I actually found the villages that spawn noble recruits, and then just went to those places and continually recruited from them, then I could probably have an army entirely consisting of noble units, and then we would literally just, well, we would stomp even more than we already are. I mean, you can see here, this particular fellow literally still has looters in their army, and I mean, really, you can't have looters at this point in the game. It's, I mean, obviously they probably just recruited them from their prisoners or something like that, and I don't blame them for attempting to find as many numbers as possible to fill out their reinforcements, but in this kind of situation, you really cannot have, well, you just can't have anything that's lower than tier 3, even lower than tier 4 against my army specifically. It's just not going to work. So that's why I'm kind of thinking, hey, you know what, maybe we should go for a new series, because I do have a good idea for it, and it's actually an idea, it's kind of like extending an idea from 2 different people, actually. It's kind of combining this idea, and it was from 2 different people that commented these ideas, and I thought to myself, wait a minute, we could combine these, and then it's going to be even more interesting, or at least I hope it's going to be even more interesting. I'm not entirely sure how it's going to work at the moment, because on the one hand, I don't really want to give any details right now, because I kind of want it to be a bit of a surprise, maybe. I mean, it's probably not going to be a surprise to these two people that actually suggested the ideas, but but generally I would like it to be a surprise, not supplies, but yes, a surprise. And so it's a bit strange, because on the one hand, I need very specific gear for my units, but on the other hand, I'm not entirely sure if I'm actually going to have them be anything good. You know what I mean? I don't know whether I'm actually going to be able to achieve anything with the gear that I would then end up giving them. You know what I mean? I think you could, if you've seen that comment, then you know what I'm talking about, but if you haven't, then, well, then you'll just wait and see, I guess. But, yeah, there you go. There's a victory for us as well. And now we can head on to Epicrotea. I very much hope that they have not put in a lot of units in the garrison. I'd love to be able to take that super fast. Wait a minute. Was that a Northern Empire vassal right there? It was. A Northern Empire vassal fighting alongside the Botanians? That is scandalous. How dare you? How dare you, sir? Oh, well, never mind. I guess it doesn't matter so much. And let's take a look here. Do we have any Vlandians? No, we do not. I will take all the prisoners, but not too many prisoners, because I don't want to slow me down so much. And we are now going to go back in here. Oh, they actually have a decent number in the garrison. Can you believe it? Wow. Okay, they're doing a very good job, actually. They're doing a very good job indeed. Okay, after I take Epicrotea, I am going to make peace with the Botanians. I don't know what their war exhaustion is currently on. Oh, it seems like we are making war against the Khuzait. Oh, this is the first time we've seen the Khuzait have any kind of aggression towards us, which is very interesting to me, as I don't think we've even seen them yet in this. So this is going to be kind of interesting. I don't know why they would decide to declare war on me from all the way over here, to be honest, because this is going to, I would say, probably be impossible for them to reach us. I don't think we have spread far enough over the map to actually even get close to their territory. So this is a bit strange. I don't know why they would decide to do that, but maybe there is a specific fief that they would like to take, as the AI does tend to have some rather peculiar ideas sometimes about who they should declare war against and when. And that's probably what's going on here, to be honest. That is probably what's going on here, so we should probably be a little bit wary of Khuzait armies in the area. No doubt they are going to say hello very, very soon, and that is not going to be very pleasing for me, because I really do not like fighting the Khuzait. But I do have a polearm. I do have a polearm-based build this time around. Okay, I glitched through the gate. Can I do that again? Okay, note to self. Don't use super fast mode in front of the gate, because I'm now inside. Yeah, okay. Aha. Okay, that is hilarious. That is actually very funny, and I never usually come across these kinds of things, by the way. Anytime I have played a game and I've seen someone else play it, or just generally heard about it, everyone else seems to always come across these really interesting bugs and funny things that happen. But for me, that never actually happens for some reason. I don't know why. I never see these really funny things. So that yeah, that's a first. That is a first for me. But there you go. Okay, so I will not do that again, because that is obviously a very broken mechanic. I mean, generally I could do that if I wanted to roleplay as kind of like a, I don't know, infiltrator / spy kind of character. But obviously, old man Byron is definitely not a spy, and he's not an infiltrator of any kind. He has a very large polearm, and he has very heavy armor on, and generally he's not any kind of, you know, stealthy character. So that probably would not work. Anyway, I'm gonna tell my forces to charge in, actually, because it seems like they have closed the gate. This is actually now biting me pretty hard, and this is probably not very good, to be honest. What? Why is there a horse in here? Okay, there's some... I don't know, I'm half expecting to see some kind of leprechaun come out of nowhere and point to his pot of gold, and then a rainbow unicorn appears and says that this is the Twilight Zone, and then hands me a bowl of porridge. I don't know, it seems like there's some weird stuff going on here. I've never seen my horse wander into the main gate and run along the streets. That is... that has never happened. That has never happened. Not in hundreds of sieges and hundreds, if not thousands, of hours worth of Bannerlord. Yeah, that has never happened to me. So that is hilarious in itself. Okay, so there we go. We managed to achieve a victory. Going to send those guys in to finish them up, and we're just going to let these guys go as well. We want to try and maximize the amount of relation that we're getting, obviously. And now that we've taken Epicrotea, this is the best possible time for us to make peace with the Botanians, because we have obviously been declared war on by the Crusade. So let's see what we can do. All right, let's go to Kingdom Screen, Botania. We are going to receive 140. That's it? Really? Oh, they own Lagata. Ah, that's the one. Okay. I'm gonna have to do something about that. But for now, I'm gonna make peace. I'm gonna make peace with them. I didn't really want to, but generally I don't want them to come back and attempt to besiege Epicrotea again, and the Northern Empire are more than likely going to attempt to do that anyway, so I personally feel like this is a pretty decent idea. And we're also going to see who owns Lagata to begin with anyway. Because, Mr. Melodier. Okay, well, we've just defeated him, I believe. Or someone has just defeated him, and so we are unable to speak to him at the moment. But hopefully we'll be able to speak to him in the near future, and when that happens, we might very well be able to buy it from him. I do have 1.86 million gold, which is actually pretty... I feel like that's pretty significant. I mean, it's not too bad. I mean, I obviously had almost 4 million before. But, you know, needs must and all that. You know, sometimes you have to make a couple of sacrifices to make something else happen. And in this case, obviously, gaining a little bit of wiggle room in this sort of Sturgian area right here is definitely a good way to go. And we can always buy the other things. I generally should be able to buy the other castles in the area very easily, so Remtor Castle, Gersagos, Daldorn, Siodos, and Palos Castle, as well as Takor. They're going to be pretty easy for me to buy, as far as I'm aware. And the only things that are going to be a little bit difficult to get will be Kurstad and Diathma. And obviously Diathma, if you remember, is something that isn't actually even well defended. So if we are declared war upon by the Vlandians, we shouldn't have too many difficulties taking it back. And I'm actually going to be disbanding my army now, and they can go wherever they want and do whatever they want. And with that, that will be it for this episode. I thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.